Hello and welcome to Chronological Clone Wars, presented by the Podawakens. My name is Jordan. With me, as always, is Logan. How are you today, Logan?
I'm good, Jordan. It is. We're recording this. This is probably like being released. Who knows when?
I think
But
May or June at this point.
yeah, yeah, I am. I am preparing to see Jordan in person. This is the first time we've ever met in person. So that's like, no. But no, it'll be good. I just saw you in person like what, a month ago. So
Yeah, exactly a month,
yeah,
right? We checked in on like the 20th of March. So
yeah.
this is April 21st. So right around a month.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it should be good. It'll be better than these batch of episodes we were talking about today. Logan texts me like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, one of those,
One of those.
saying you have watched the worst Clone Wars episode that you had seen, and it is in this batch of episodes as we are talking about Shadow Warrior, Mercy Mission, and Nomad Droids from season 4. Those are episodes 4, 5, and 6. Um, I'll have who wrote those in a second here. See, I always forget something to do when I'm preparing for the notes. Okay. Written by Daniel Arkin and Brian Kalin, directed by Brian Kalin O'Connell for Shadow Warrior. Mercy Mission was written by Bonnie Mark, directed by Danny Keller. And Nomad Droids, written by Steve Mitchell and Craig Van Sickle, and directed by Stuart Lee. These premiered September 30th, October 7th, and October 14th of 2011 on the Cartoon Network. So Logan, I was gonna say, just tell me what it was about these episodes or the episode itself. I guess it was Mercy Mission, maybe Nomad Droids. I forget which one. That you said was the worst one.
It was. It would have been Mercy Mission. Would have been the one that I thought was going to be the worst one, but then Nomad Droids came on. And I was like, all right, well, those were two really bad episodes. Mercy Mission was like, oh, that was bad, and then the next one was like, oh, that was really bad. So I did not like the tail end of it. I did, however, Jordan, shockingly, I like Shadow Warrior.
Yeah, Shadow Warrior was good. You know what? I thought when you told me that, and I was like, all right, let me pull up the episode. I watched like one or two of them on my lunch break or something, or all three, I forget. But I was like, I pulled it up and saw Shadow Warrior says Jar Jar Binks must pose as his people's leader. I was like, oh, he's talking about this one. Then I watched it and it was really good. And I was like, okay, it wasn't that one. Then I was like, it has to be the droid episodes. It has to be.
Yeah, no, Shadow Warrior was fantastic. I thought it was like, all right, this is a good start. So no matter how bad these next two episodes are, it couldn't possibly bring down this week's
You're like, this
ranking.
is already top week.
Yeah, this is a great week. I'm like, this is great Jar Jar stuff. This is the content I think we all needed that aren't huge Jar Jar fans. It's growing on me. He's grown quite a bit in the last two episodes he's been on. He's been really, really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jordan, the last two, I get it. I get what they're doing. They're rotating through the characters. It kind of gives you a break. It probably left you as a cliffhanger because they're coming out weekly, I guess.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
But it, man, whenever they switched to the droids, I guarantee you the viewership went down a little bit because these are not. They were not good episodes. They were just really poorly written. I was very confused about the direction of them. But yeah, it
I mean,
started out with a bang.
you are right. Actually, like the viewership for Mercy Mission was not as high as like the rest of the season.
Just bad. Like I don't know. And to do two right in a row, it was like brutal.
Yeah, and this is why I always say for me, like Rebels is the better show. People are probably tired of me saying that because I've been surprised. So on the Friday episodes where we talked to High Republic, so far I've asked, I don't know, 5 people maybe. I forget how many guests I've had, 4 or 5 people, and they've said all of them except one has said Rebels is their favorite animated series. So in each of those episodes, because I'm talking to a different person, I reiterate why I think that, and I'm sure the listeners are like, yes, he said this last week when the other person was on. But, I have to have the conversation with the person recording.
Yeah, you get
As
different
well.
perspectives.
Yeah, yeah. So No, I can totally see where that is coming from, because there's episodes like you'll get gold like next week, and then you'll have, or like you even said, Shadow Warrior. You're like, oh, that was pretty good. Read the synopsis, didn't think it was going to be good. It was
Right.
good. And then you get to the two droids episodes, and you're like, that's quality for the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah.
Like you can go from the best of the best to like, all right. And they're never like, I would say, outrightly terrible where I'm like fuming at the television the whole time.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of just like boring. You're like, yeah, all
Yeah, you
right.
zone out. You
Yeah.
lose interest in what's going on. To be honest, it was more confusion and like you don't get the point of the droid episodes. It's kind of like, hmm, there was only one part of the droid and we can get into that, but there's one part that I'm like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. It pushes along the storyline of C-3PO and the battle droids and the relationship they have with the clones. But yeah, it's just it's wild to me. There's a lot of comparisons between the droid and clones because they're just not. They don't. They do think individually, but they're not individuals. It's kind of strange to me,
Yeah.
the concept.
Well, I guess let's start with Shadow Warrior. This is where Jar
Mhm.
Jar has to pose as his people's leader. Um, so the leader was being under the influence by a necklace that had been given to him by a shaman, a Gungan shaman named Rish Lu. And it was trying to trick the Gungans into aiding the separatists having an assault on Naboo. But Anakin kind of figures this out, right? Just like force pulls the necklace and is like, this is what's going on. And Jar Jar has to at a certain point, the leader, who is no longer Boss Nass, I guess he died. I mean, it was 10 years ago. He was overweight. Maybe something happened health wise. Maybe he stepped down. I don't know, but we don't hear anything about Boss Nass. But he is no longer the leader, and we have Boss Leone, who is the leader at this point. They get um, they get in critical condition when he's stabbed. And Jar Jar looks similarly like him. He just happens to put the hat on, and Anakin and Padme are like, "Wait, dude, you look just like him. We're gonna need you to pose as your leader and kind of get this stuff back on track," which is what they do. We also get General Grievous in this episode. Um, the Gungans are battling a droid army, very reminiscent of Phantom Menace. We get the Gungan General Tarpals dies like sacrificing himself here in this, and he was somebody that was in episode 1, Phantom Menace. So he ends up dying. Grievous gets captured. Palpatine is telling Dooku like, "Hey, you're gonna have to trade Skywalker for Grievous. Like they'll make that exchange." And they do. Like Padme does end up having to do that. But Anakin, when he's confronting Dooku's like, the Sith control everything. You just don't know it. And they end up fighting. Anakin loses. That's when Dooku calls Padme, and Jar Jar tells Padme that she has to trade for Anakin. She was actually kind of ready to make that sacrifice, I think, just to, one, not give up what they have going on, but also it's like, I don't know. Sometimes you got to make that call, but Jar Jar's like, hey, I knew this kid when he was 10 years old. He's helped us. He helped you in Naboo in the first movie. I believe that's a direct quote from Jar Jar. And then you gotta make the exchange, and they do, and that's Shadow Warrior.
Jar Jar saves the world at times.
And sometimes he causes the Empire
Complete chaos. Yeah, I don't know. He's not very bright. He doesn't have street smarts. Like I feel like he's very smart, but he doesn't have like the common sense to do the right things. And anything he does right, he does by accident. It seems like he just
that's a
stumbles
Jar
in
Jar
backwards.
staple.
Yeah, I love it. So every time I think of Jar Jar, though, I will never not think of him sticking his tongue in the pod racer and he's
Getting it electrocuted.
and he's just
My tongue and numb. Yeah, no, that's gold. Jar Jar, decent Jar Jar episode. We are back, by the way, to Jar Jar being voiced by the correct actor. Ahmed
Sounds so
Best
much better.
is back by this point. Yeah, it was literally, I think, only 1 or 2 episodes that was voiced
Yeah,
by somebody else before they were like, all right, well, we got him back.
because the other one would just slip into a regular voice at times, and it was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
that's strange.
It's hard to. I feel like it's weird. Some voices, it seems like people can replicate pretty well, and then there's some voices where I think it's very tough to. And I think that one is a very tough voice to put on.
I feel like Anakin and Hayden Christensen is easy because it's a very mellowed out,
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of a monotone.
Matt
Ewan
Lanter
McGregor,
does a good job voicing him in this.
yeah, Ewan McGregor, I think is a little bit more difficult just because he's got like that. He's got a very high pitched kind of. I don't know. It's very proper. And is he Irish or is he Scottish?
Um,
McGregor, that would be
I,
Ireland.
yeah, I
Right?
believe he's Scottish.
Really?
He puts on a different voice though to
Oh,
try to
Ewan.
mimic.
Yeah, Ewan's Scottish, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, to mimic. Yeah, Scottish actor. He's from Perth, Scotland. Um, he puts on like a different voice to sound closer to Alec Guinness, who did Obi-Wan in the original.
Yeah. Hello there.
Yeah, so that was that episode. Mercy Mission and Nomad Droids. I bet you we're not going to spend as much time on.
Now I want to go into this. I want to dissect it.
All right, we'll just dissect it. Mercy Mission:
Hours.
C-3PO and R2-D2 explore a strange underground world. Nomad Droids, R2-D2 and C-3PO have a series of bizarre misadventures. See, I think so. Mercy Mission, we get introduced to Commander Wolf. I don't know if "introduce" is the right word. He may have shown up before. I lose all track of that stuff because I've watched. He's appeared in other stuff, so I've seen him before. So I forget like when the first time if we've. He's one of Plo Koon's commanders, so I don't think we've seen him before in this show, but I don't know. So Wolf goes to the surface and is talking with the natives, and 3PO's translating. They end up going underground, and you get like these tree-like creatures. You get a frog-like lady, right? Like she's like this. She kind of has like the same dress as the daughter from the Mortis arc. I don't know. Like she
Yeah,
felt like similarly
it
like
did.
aura around her, but she's like a frog lady who's like has this long tongue. And she like tries to eat them, and she's like, "Oh, I can't eat you." And 3PO's like, "That's good to hear." She gives them a riddle. I solved it pretty quickly. Did you figure out this was a river, like when she's talking
Yes.
about it? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And it made sense because of the frog like. It was like, oh,
Yes.
she's definitely talking about water. And then I was like, oh, definitely a river.
So R2 solves it. He's figuring it out. He goes around to all the things to like where water is, and then pours water on the water totem, and it creates all those things. 3PO thinks he solved it, and he goes to. They get raised back up. They figure out, oh, it's this gas that's causing issues. Let's just plug the hole. I don't know how that related to the riddle or anything like that, but anyway, they block the hole, and Commander Wolf's like thinking Commander Wolf has no clue what they've done this whole time, so he just thinks that they were like lollygagging. And that's Mercy Mission. And I can assure you, the people that tuned in on October 7th, 2011 on Cartoon Network was probably like, that's what we got this week? Okay. Then they saw commercials for next week, and they're like, all right, another R2-3PO episode. And that's what it is, Nomad Droids. So they run into General Grievous, and they escape in a ship. They land on a planet. They get captured by tiny aliens. I love this part, though, because this was funny. They shoot these aliens like they're... like the animation is great here, where they don't reveal that these aliens are really small until they've, like, captured 3PO and R2, and then they zoom out, and you see, like, this little tiny alien that is taking them. The alien leader lets them go, and then like 3PO accidentally kills him, or R2 accidentally kills him. And at first he thinks they're going to be upset, but they're all like, "Oh no, that's great." And they instill democracy into these people. that goes wrong immediately. The person that wins the vote and the people that lose the vote start getting into an argument, and they're like, the droids are just like, all right, have fun with democracy. We're out of here. And they land on another planet where now they run into another leader and people. But this one is like a Wizard of Oz situation
Yeah.
where it is a pit droid acting as a person. The droids, so they've solved that issue. Then the droids lose power, and then pirates land there, take the pirates. They take the droids. The droids wake up. They get blown out of the ship, right? And 3PO's like riding on R2's back. And then they land back into the other ship. Plo Koon and Wolf and them meet up with the droids, and there you go. And Wolf can't believe it. He's like, I know these guys. they. What is going on? And that was it. That was Nomad Droids. I actually probably like Nomad Droids better than Mercy Mission just because of the little alien thing.
Yeah, I just didn't like that. Maybe it was because I had a bad taste from the last one. I was like, I really don't like this. The one fun thing I was reading notes on Wikipedia, the reaction of the Petites, is that how you say that? To the death of Jesus is a reference to Wizard of Oz. So there's two Wizard of Oz back to back.
Oh, yeah, like
the
the
Munchkins are
dead,
excited
right?
when the witch is dead.
Yeah.
So whoever wrote this was big Wizard of Oz person. Which
yeah,
I feel
like
every
how can we take Wizard of Oz and make 2 episodes out of it, or make like an episode out of it?
Right. There could be a podcast about Wizard of Oz references into television. I feel like there's
Lost.
A ton of right.
There's an episode in Lost called "The Man Behind the Curtain."
And
yes,
I think Scrubs is the same. I think Scrubs has an episode that's very Oz. There's a lot of them. I mean, I think there's a lot of them in most of the shows that I've seen. I'm sure Simpsons and Family Guy have covered Oz at some point.
The movie was a flop, too, at first.
Wizard of Oz was?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
At first, yeah. It did not do as well theatrically. It became bigger when they started airing it on television.
It's like a cult thing now.
Yeah. Once they started airing it on television, I think around like Easter time, like a lot, is when it started picking up more notoriety. But yeah, we Wizard of Oz. We went and saw this. Did I see this with my? Yeah, I think my wife and I went to see Wizard of Oz at like the orchestra, and it was like doing the movie with the orchestra being played live.
Yeah.
We also saw Return of the Jedi that way.
I was going to say, have you seen any of the Star Wars ones? I want to see. Yeah. I want to see Harry Potter. They do that all the time here in Orlando.
Oh, really?
They do Harry Potter, yeah. So I've always wanted to see that.
Yeah, I mean that stuff is fun. Like, I saw Return of the Jedi that way, and I believe we went to see Wizard of Oz that way. Like, that was the first thing we saw that way, and we went because my wife is a big Wizard of Oz fan. So, yeah, we went and did that, but then we saw Return of the Jedi that way, which was really cool. Yeah, so it seems like in 1956 was the first time it was shown on television, and it was like a big audience for that, and kind of became better known that way. Its box office has only made, says, 29 million, which was not like its first box office. Usually they count all of the box office for any re-release. So, oh yeah, it only earned 3 million on a $2.7 million budget until 1949 when it re-released. In 1949, and it made a little bit more money then, and then, you know, like I said, the television stuff like 10 years later really jumped it up a bit. So you thought you were listening to a podcast about Star Wars, the Clone Wars, but you're really listening to our Wizard of Oz podcast, The Man Behind the Curtain.
Yeah. There you go. So The Good Place, which I know you've seen, has an Oz episode. Simpsons has covered it. Lost has covered it. That's one that's brought up quite a bit. Um, I'm just like looking. There's
It's a
not.
really great episode of Lost as well.
Is it really?
Yeah, the man behind the curtain's pretty good.
But yeah, it seems like every show has done some kind of iteration of The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, and then also there's an episode of there's a 2 or 3 parter of Lost called "There's No Place Like Home" too. So yeah, there's a couple references
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that's a common one. But
That's a really
yeah,
great episode.
I
Okay.
mean, at this point, I think everybody, it's like the one movie everybody knows.
Yeah, and what can we say other than these episodes didn't give us too much to talk about?
No,
So
no, it's like digging for. It's like, well, how did it progress?
like
I imagine
padding
Captain.
it out a little bit here so we
Yeah,
get past 20 minutes.
yeah. I will say Captain Wolf. I didn't like him. Doesn't seem like each. There's a lot of. I feel like there's a lot of things happening, and we get into it big time next week, where the
Oh yeah.
clones are starting to question a lot of things. Like, I don't know. The more that you give individuals, or the more that you make these clones individual, that's what I was gonna say. Is like, or droids individuals. Like, the more they seem to wreak havoc on things. Is my. I don't know. It seems like the more thoughts that they can have, the worse off they are. And
Well, there you go. Logan is anti. No,
yep,
Logan is pro not having any autonomy.
yeah, yeah. You need them clumped in as a group. That way, when they kill each other, it doesn't matter. I don't know. It is. It is. It's like once the no. I just wanted. I made the observation. I don't actually. There's so many things in history that have gone wrong that way. So let's. But
Logan's
yeah,
like, let's wrap this up.
yeah. Let's get off this topic.
All right. Well, yeah, a short episode this week because of the episodes that happen to be bunched together. But I can tell you, probably next week's is going to be a little longer. We got the Krell arc, General Krell arc, coming up here next week. That's 4 episodes for you to watch along with us. That is episode 7 of season 4, Darkness on Umbara. Episode 8, The General. Episode 9, Plan of Dissent. And episode 10, Carnage of Krell. Yeah, so make sure that you follow along with us there. If you want to send us any sort of feedback, at podawakens on all of our social medias, or podawakens@gmail.com. Have a great rest of your week. We'll catch you next time when we talk the Umbara arc.